Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Road to Hajj. Road to Hajj is not meant to be a comprehensive Hajj guide, just a simple overview of what Hujjaj do and slight exploration into its meaning during Hajj. Now, today, the day of Nahar, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, Eid al-Adha, is also known as Yawmun Nahar, the day of sacrifice. This is the culmination from the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, where Prophet Ibrahim, the day of Tarwiyah, Prophet Ibrahim was wondering what is the meaning of his dream that he saw, Inni ara fil manami anni adbahuk, that he saw in his dream that he was slaughtering his son. And then he went to his son, he asked his son, Fanzur madha tara, tell me what you think of this. This is now the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, and Prophet Ismail said, Ya abati fa'al ma tu'mar, my dear father, do as you have been commanded. Satajiduni insha'Allah min as-sabirin. You will find me, insha'Allah, with the permission of Allah, from amongst those who are patient. So today, on the 9th is the day of Arafah, that Prophet Ibrahim and Prophet Ismail, Arafah, that they knew what they're supposed to do. They understood. So wandering on the 8th, now they understood the meaning. On the 9th and on the 10th, they go out and slaughter. So Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam lived at a time where it was common for religion to demand a life sacrifice, sacrificing a life to appease the divine. And this is a trait that you find across all religion of the world, that you have to please the divine or please the gods or the God by sacrificing something, by suffering. So Prophet Ibrahim, when he saw this dream, it wasn't something peculiar, it wasn't something weird. So he understood that, all right, this is what he has to do. So when he went with his son on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah to Mina, because Prophet Ismail said, let's do this, but let's do this a bit further away from home in Mecca, because he didn't want his mother Hajar, to hear him screaming or hear him suffering. So he asked from his father, let's do this further away from home. So they went for a walk. From Mecca to Mina is about five or so kilometers. So they went, and when they got to Mina, as he was about to slaughter, فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَ وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ, when Prophet Ibrahim and Prophet Ismail, both of them submitted to Allah, they surrendered to Allah, وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ, and the forehead, the head of Prophet Ismail is placed on the sacrificial rock, Allah called the Prophet Ibrahim, Ya Ibrahim, qad sadaqta ar-ru'ya, you have fulfilled your dream. You don't have to sacrifice in order to please Allah. This is not that kind of religion. This is not a religion that requires us to suffer in order to please Allah. It is not a masochistic religion where God derives pleasure from our suffering. Allah was just showing to the entire world, showing to Ibrahim, because that was the common practice. Until today, there's so many religions that view suffering as a requirement in order to achieve divine grace. And if you look at Christianity, the entire religion is about blood sacrifice. They believe that God is merciful, that he sacrificed his own son in order to forgive the sins of humanity. See, there is that blood sacrifice, sacrificing his own son for the sake of humanity. But Islam is not that kind of religion. Islam doesn't require suffering. Islam doesn't require a life sacrifice. So Allah just tested Ibrahim. Even though Ibrahim is willing to do it, Allah is now saying, I don't need it. I don't need you to suffer. I don't need you to sacrifice as such. So Allah says, فَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ, we replace it with a great sacrifice, with a great ram. Now, with regards to this ram that we're sacrificing, Allah says, لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهُ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا. Allah doesn't want the luhum, the flesh of the meat, of the animal that you sacrifice, nor the blood. وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ التَّقْوَى. Allah wants to see taqwa from you, this devotion to Allah, mindfulness of Allah. Allah doesn't want the meat, Allah doesn't want the blood. It doesn't reach Allah. What reaches Allah is our sincerity, is our taqwa in doing the good deed. So from this sacrifice of Prophet Ibrahim, we learn that Islam is not a religion that requires us to suffer in order to please Allah. It requires a bit of work, a bit of hard work, but those hard work essentially makes us better. And will there be difficulties in life? Yes, there will be difficulties because life is a test, but it is not in order to please God. There are some people who are being tested with ease and luxury, some people who are being tested with pain and suffering. It doesn't mean that those who are going through pain and suffering are ranked higher than those who are tested with luxuries and wealth. In fact, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told one of the companions in Amr ibn al-As, he said that the best mal, the best wealth is rajulun salih, is for a pious person. So Islam encourages productivity. Islam encourages economic prosperity. Islam encourages us to work in order to solve the sufferings of humanity. Islam doesn't place sharaf or honor to suffering. It's just a test that we overcome. If it's wealth, it's luxury, the test is to see whether we are patient. If the test is hardship, test is poverty. Sorry, if the test is luxury, wealth, it's a test to see whether we are grateful. If the test is hardship, poverty, is to see whether we are patient. But in both cases, we are not expected just to sit back and accept it as it is. We're supposed to do better given any situation. We're given wealth and luxury, we go out of our way to help people who are in need. We are given the test of poverty and hardship, we work hard to elevate ourselves. And this is why when you see in Islam, there are certain acts of worship that requires quite a lot of money. Number one, zakat. Zakat requires that you have savings, that you have surplus. You get to pay zakat when you earn and you have a certain amount of money. You get to go to Hajj when you have the amount of money required to travel, and also the amount of money that for you to leave behind, for your family to survive with while you are performing Hajj. Islam encourages economic productivity, alleviation of sufferings. Islam is not a religion that requires us to kill ourselves, to suffer in order to please Allah. And this is the lesson that we learn from the udhiyah, from the sacrifice of Prophet Ibrahim. Even Ibrahim alayhi salam was willing to do it. And this is the ultimate sacrifice. Imagine, for a father, it is better that the father suffers before he sees his son suffers. He would rather die rather than see his children or his son suffers. And for a son who is 11, 12 years old, no one is more important than himself. This is the offer of the ultimate sacrifice. Ibrahim willing to sacrifice his son. The son, a young, growing up teenager, is willing to sacrifice himself. Yet Allah said, no, I don't need your sacrifice. I want to see your taqwa. I want to see your devotion to Allah. But you are not expected to sacrifice. You're not expected to suffer and kill yourself. This is Yawmun Nahar, and this is Eidul Adha, where we get the name. Al-Udhiyah means to sacrifice. This is what we are celebrating today.